Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. Good to be back.
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Welcome to Health and Wellness 360 with tfal&chi. We've been gone a month,
that's right.
but we are so excited to be back this Saturday morning.
And we missed you guys. We missed you guys, and but we just needed to get away and get some rest and all that. So it's so exciting to be back, and we have tons and tons of fun shows coming up this next season.
Yes,
So-
thank you so much for all the people who've been watching our prior shows. Thank you, and thank you for coming back. And for our new viewers, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And please let us know where you're joining us from. What city, what state, what country. Just say hi and welcome to Health and Wellness 360 with tfal&chi.
That's right.
Before we get started, we'll introduce ourselves. Oh, we missed you too. Thank you. We'll introduce ourselves. I am Tfal. I am an infectious disease physician and professor of medicine. I am an author.
Yes.
I'm a podcaster, and I'm a wellness coach. And I am the other half of tfal&chi, joined by my husband, Chi.
That's right. And I'm Chi, and so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us today. I'm a health and wellness expert. My focus is nutrition, fitness, and mental health. And what we do at tfal&chi is to empower you, your family, your friends, your loved ones to be the very best versions of yourself, wherever you may find yourself on the health continuum. And that is our mission. That is our passion. And we do this because of the rise and the increase and the trajectory of chronic diseases, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, asthma, all that's, the trajectory is so bad lately. So we are here to help you fight that fight, provide you the education needed to be the very best versions of yourself. Right?
And you nailed it. The very best versions of you. Not anyone else but you. So this show is always about you. And this season, we have tons of shows. And our theme is really going to be weaving in generational health.
That's right.
We believe that your health is your biggest and most valuable asset. And investing in your health will give you the best return on investment, short-term and long-term. So all of our shows and our stuff is really cultivating generational health and wellness. We're going to be talking about your waist circumference. It's more than cosmetic.
That's right. We're also going to be talking about oral health, because oftentimes we just think about it's just the body and not the mouth and all that. But your oral health tells a lot about what happens inside of you.
We're going to be talking about colon cancer screening. We already had our screens and age-appropriate health screenings. We're going to be talking about stress management. Yes,
mental health is super important. So these are some of the topics that we have coming up this next season. So like us, follow us, bring your friends along, share a message wherever you may be, so you can continue to figure out and learn so much more about us.
Thank you so much. Lots we're going to talk about. But today, we're going to be talking about, like you saw in the promo, food labels.
And we're in the kitchen today.
Yes.
So
I will have props. We're going to be talking about food labels, understanding them, and having you make the connection between what you put into your body and your health outcomes, physical health, mental health, overall health. So we're going to be doing that and having you connect food as medicine and why that matters.
That's right. And, we keep talking about, the increase in chronic diseases. And, we know that studies tell us that, by 2030, about 1 in 3 Americans would be diabetic. And this is not just restricted to those in America. It's not unique to just Americans, because we know you're watching from across the globe. This is something that is just so endemic across so many countries around the world. Diabetes, high blood pressure, 6 in 10 heart disease, 6 in 10 people
in the
US alone, right?
Have one chronic disease.
Yes.
And 7 in 10 of us are on at least one prescription medicine. So the trajectory is going this way, and we need to take our power back into what we put into our bodies. Before we even go on, can you put in the chat who does the groceries for your household?
Who does the shopping?
Is it you? Is it somebody else? Just put it in there. Right? Because that's important. That person needs to be tagged to come in.
Yes, that's right.
Or you need to tell them, or you need to be part of making that list for your groceries.
Yes. Who makes the list? Who brings the groceries in? just type it in there. And producer, if you could just let us know what's coming up in the chat so we know who exactly is making those choices, because those choices are typically what drives the health of that family.
Yes.
So we'd like to know, just pop it in there, let us know who does the grocery shopping in your home.
Yes.
Let's do that.
The health of the family, which is one of the things we'll talk about,
Yeah.
is really important. But what we put in our bodies, you know, we talk about the analogy.
Yeah.
A lot of times, prescription medicines are on the rise, not just for chronic medical conditions, but if you think about heartburn and bloating and constipation, lots of stuff, joint aches, things like that. We know that food can be inflammatory or anti-inflammatory.
Yes.
We know that all of the digestive issues. So we want to start thinking about, if this body, what we put into it, our body's symptoms tell us when something's off. Symptoms are just the body saying something's off.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, honey.
Yeah, so instead of thinking of those symptoms as, oh, I have a little bit of bloating and indigestion, I can't sleep, let me pop a Tums, let me pop Pepsi. Let's think about, well, why is that happening? What did I put into my body that may be causing those symptoms?
Yes, it's not normal to just be belch all the time or even pass gas all the time. It's just your body telling you something is not right, right? Perhaps tweaking what goes in your body, because your gut starts in your mouth and ends in your big colon, right? So everything you put in your mouth has something to do with the way you feel, your mood, the way you act, and all that, right?
That is so important. And one of the things we talk about is, you know, as a physician in the hospital, people come in and sometimes don't put that connection between.
Sure, that's what I was going to ask you. You just nailed it. What are one of the reasons why, you know, people come in talking about dietary issues and why they're in the hospital to see you?
Yeah.
Share that.
So some of the things are like uncontrolled high blood pressure or heart failure. One of the common reasons people come back in and out of the hospital with their heart failure not being under control is they're like, oh, I don't eat a lot. All I have are cans of soup. But they're getting so much salt in and they don't know, they hadn't understood the impact of reading those food labels. Or somebody comes in with diabetes and their blood sugar keeps rising, but they're eating a lot of simple sugars that are making their diabetes worse. So actually this leads to increased hospitalization, and having people understand that you can make those choices and understand those food labels is really important. We'll show some of the soup cans and
we'll do that in a minute. Right, but we've been seeing a lot, you know, I think Vanita noted that she does this shopping herself. We're seeing lots of comments there about who does the shopping. It's very important that whoever does the shopping in a home understands that they are literally driving, they're the gatekeepers and driving the health of the family all the time. So you have to think about, like my wife noted, generational health. If you make very good choices for yourself and your family, you're more likely to see that your medical costs will be less, chronic disease will be less or even non-existent in your family. You'll be healthier, less mental health issues, less gut issues, if you're making good choices in your home for yourself and your family, or for just you and your loved ones, right?
And you talked about how the cost. And sometimes people think, oh, if I eat healthy, it's too expensive. That's why I grab the go. The cost is going to be better, both in the short term and long term, making those choices and knowing that those decisions drive our health outcomes.
Right.
And one of the things is, you know, food labels are complicated. We'll break it down. But you know what? The easiest way not to have to do that is eating things as close. Food labels are not on the veggies or on the fruits.
You ever seen a banana with a food label about
an apple?
Or apple? No.
Lettuce,
broccoli, kale?
None of those things.
None of them.
The more you fill your plate, half of your plate with vegetables, that's less things you have to understand, right?
Exactly.
About reading these food labels. So it's important to know that those things matter and they're all connected, what we put into our body, and thinking about that both in the short and the long term.
Before we actually go into that, just want to think about this, right? When you're eating the kale or spinach, right? You never have to worry about how much of it you eat. You can eat a whole bag of kale if you want. It's never going to hurt you. You can eat a whole bag of spinach. It's never going to hurt you. But if you grab, my wife is going to talk about this in a moment. We had to bring some samples here today to show you, right? So, these are things we just bought. regardless of who makes them, but we're just going to talk about the labels, honey. So where do you want to start? Why don't you start with breaking down the labels and what we expect to see here?
So again, no labels is good, but if you have to. So one of the things we have to, two tenets of packaged stuff is that when it's packaged and canned, tinned, packaged, to preserve it on the shelf for years. You pick up something, they have a shelf life of 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
To do that, they either have to add a lot of salt to it. You know, salt is a natural preservative, right? So to keep something alive or not alive for
sodium.
so long, they add a lot of salt.
How much sodium is this? How much sodium is this?
We'll get into that. A lot of salt. They strip out fiber from stuff, and fiber is so important. We'll talk about why fiber is so important.
Of course.
Or they add a lot of sugar. And that's what gets us craving these things.
Right.
And that's what helps. We need to break that cycle. The more sugar you eat, the more sugar you crave. Right. So if you look at all these things, they either have added sugar, which is very addictive. We've talked about the addictive property of sugar.
Sure.
They either add salt so they can preserve it and you get salt sensitive, or they add trans fat and strip it of fiber. Every processed food. And
so,
go ahead.
Honey, just before you go ahead, just a couple of things my wife mentioned there. She mentioned trans fat. What does that do to you? Block your arteries, heart disease, right? Sugar, diabetes, increases your risk of diabetes. So for every 2% increase in trans fat in your foods, you have about 23% increase of having heart disease. For every 2% increase in the bad fats in your food, you have an elevated increase of 23% of having heart disease. All right. So these are the things we want to share with you.
Those
so
numbers are staggering.
They're staggering.
So, you know, if you're home and you're able to reach any product in your shelf, cabinet, pantry, grab something. If you're not home, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you can watch this later. All right. Every pack. The good thing is that the FDA, the labeling on every food product is the same.
Correct.
The order is the same.
Yeah.
Whether it be a can of soup, a box of Nutri-Grain, a tin of cereal, a bag of nuts, whatever that label is. And if you have something you can grab and follow along, that's fine. If not, you can look at it later.
Yeah.
And what I'll do in a minute is just go through the order in which these things are done, and then we'll talk about what you need to look at. You don't have to understand everything, but things you need to look at that are called out. So every package of food, no matter what it is, always starts off with, at the top of it says nutritional facts. All right. The top half always has how many calories per serving. And sometimes that's where the first mistake is. Calories per serving, and then how many servings are in that. So if you look at this, it says 180 calories, right? But that's per serving. This has 2 servings. So right off the bat, this is 360. But if you look at the 180,
so let me ask you this. So the FDA notes, you know, there's a guidance about the total amount of calories you get every day, which is about 2,000. And in this alone, how many did you say?
360.
360. So if you had this can, and most people just won't eat this can. They'll probably eat
this side.
This will be the side. So that's 360 already. And that's not even counting
what's in it.
What's in it. The sugars, the fats, the sodium. Go ahead, honey.
All right. So always starts off with the calories. And then they label it in the same order. It's always fat, and then they call out cholesterol. The things that are called out, this was to make sure those are the things you zone in on. It talks about how much fat, then it talks about saturated and unsaturated fat. If trans fat is added, which is artificial, trans fat is engineered fat. It's not regular, right?
Yeah.
And then they call out cholesterol. So look at that cholesterol number. It's highlighted. Things that are bolded: fat, cholesterol, sodium, because these are things that increase your risk of disease. And then it talks about carbohydrates. Then it goes into how much added sugar. We'll talk about that. And then protein. And then at the bottom, it has whatever vitamins and things are in there. And then there's always the jumble of all this other stuff.
All this other stuff that you have no idea where they come from. You know, so again, this is the reason, that other stuff, this is the reason why you want foods that are closer to the earth as much as possible. Not all the time, but majority of your nutritional regimen should be vegetables, raw nuts, complex carbs, plant-based stuff, right? Fish, chicken.
And
Right.
you know what we're seeing is because sugar is so addictive,
Right.
we're seeing right next to the apples,
Right.
they have taffy apples coated with chocolate right next there. And so the kids are shopping with you and they see all this stuff. And because over time, our body does that. What you eat, you crave more of.
Real quick,
Yes.
you said something about kids. Kids should not be making choices about what goes in the basket in the grocery store. They shouldn't.
We're calling it out.
We're calling it today. They shouldn't. You're in control. You say what goes in the basket, regardless of what the kid says.
They'll throw a tantrum, but an apple is sweet enough.
Yes.
But right now, we're seeing where at the grocery store, they put the apples and then they have the taffy apples now in a package with a food label.
Yeah.
Changes the trajectory. So fresh is best. Thank you so much, Martha.
Martha, thank you. Yeah.
So it's really important. And you always talk about, when they talk about those ingredients, and you always tell people, a lot of times people think, I'm just having yogurt. I'm just having a bar. People don't know there's so much added sugar. Because over time, people have been conditioned to need more. So our health needs are more because we're eating a lot of salt, a lot of sugar. So all of a sudden, everything doesn't taste good until you add stuff to it. And that's what's driving the disease.
Yeah.
This is what's driving the diabetes and high blood pressure and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're just so you guys have followed along, and they have a lot of times they put all the vitamins, but there is no, you can get your vitamins from fruits.
From fruits.
And vegetables.
Nuts.
And nuts.
Nuts, you can get them from there. So talking about nuts, right? You also want to make sure, because when we talk about oils, especially the oils that are being used for these, right? The oils that stay liquid in room temperature. And what does that mean? You want to stay away from hydrogenated
which is what
oils.
trans fat is.
Exactly, because in room temperature, what happens? It coagulates, right? And what happens when it coagulates? It does exactly that inside your body. So if you have hydrogenated oils, it sits in your arteries, say your arteries, it begins to coat and cause plaque, and the arteries close, boom, a person has an event, which is going to be very sad.
And so people ask, why would they use trans fats, right? Because it heats up quickly.
Correct.
So when they're trying to process things, or you're going through a drive-through and the fries and all that stuff, trans fat is able to heat up faster. So all those vats that things are being coated in is trans fat. So it makes them able to get food done quicker, oil hits faster, but that is not what needs to be happening inside of you.
That's right. Thank you for showing that. So great job, that producer. Bacon grease. Think about it. Thank you so much. So you make animal fat. So you make bacon, right? And you let the oil sit. If you come back in a few hours, you turn it upside down, it doesn't run, it stays there. You don't want that sitting inside your body. You don't. So you want to do oils like olive oil, safflower oil, oils that actually stay liquid. If you come back 10 years with olive oil in a bottle, if you turn it upside down, it's going to flow right out. That's what you want to be doing, right?
Yes. So, like sodium, that's a big one. High blood pressure is a lot higher in our community. And the recommendations is for 2-gram sodium diet, right? That's average. Some people need much less than that if they already have heart disease. However, I'm looking at this. I'll just take, pot pie, chicken noodle soup, all of these soups.
Sure.
This 1 can of soup has, if you do 1 cup, which is half of this. So if you do this whole tin, this has, let me wear my glasses here.
Why don't you put your glasses on? Let's see, so we can read that.
So you can actually read it. This has 1,700 milligrams of sodium. So 75% of your total daily is in this soup. So when people say, we have patients, their blood pressure is high, and every time they come into the office, we keep changing their blood pressure medicine, adding another one. Because if we're not having that discussion, they're taking their meds, all right, but they're also loading with sodium, which increases water retention and stuff. So you have people on 5 medications for blood pressure because they're eating 4 or 5 grams of sodium a day. This alone has So this is why we do one of the programs we offer as tfal&chi. We do what we call a pantry check. So we want to make sure. So when you're part of our one-on-one coaching, what we do is we'll come into your home virtually, into your pantry, into your refrigerator,
just to make sure that what your goals are congruent with what's in your pantry and what you're putting in your body.
Yes.
So I just want to call that out, honey, that
Yes.
it's one of the things we do
correct,
to help our
to help
clients.
people
Yeah.
understand that, because the thing is that once you know better, you do better. Nobody would intentionally harm themselves or their kids or even their own health.
Sure.
These two, I specifically, when I was shopping the grocery, I went and found these two because I know a lot of us do bars. A lot of people, you're like, it's a bar, it's quick, it's on the run, it's on the run, and the kids are starting the day with cereal. If you can start your kids off with something not cereal, you will see improvements in their mood and in their energy levels. Yeah. Why do we say this? This one cereal bar. So you think, and a lot of times, not all calories are created equal.
Of course not.
People think this is one bar here is 130 calories, right?
But what's the source of the calories, right?
Now, let me break that down.
That's right. Yeah.
So this has 25 grams of carbs. It has 1 gram of fiber. A lot of things that they have to strip the fiber from them. Yeah. Fiber is so important for our digestion, for our cholesterol. It makes us feel full for longer. You drink water with your fiber, like with oatmeal and nuts. Right. And this has 1 gram. Now, this has 25 grams of carbs, but it has 12 grams of added sugar per serving. So 24% of your total stuff is in one serving, and it's added sugar. And added sugar is not regular stuff. This is stuff that was added. Yeah,
so added, just think about it. Every time you're adding, you're engineering things, right? So if you want to make, it's not natural sugars, right? So one thing I wanted to call out was, for instance, the oatmeal, right?
As a substitute for breakfast.
As a substitute for breakfast. But when we talk about oatmeal, we're not talking about the packaged oatmeal with tons of sugar. That's not what we're talking about.
Because they add sugar to that.
Because they add sugar to it, right? Yeah. You want oatmeal in its rawest form, and you want it to be, I don't know if you can see that, but still cut or something closest to the rawest oatmeal you can find. And what my wife and I do, and what we teach our clients, is that you can make your oatmeal and just throw in a bunch of fruit in there.
Yes.
Bananas, blueberries, those are not strawberries. These are natural sugars, right?
They don't have food labels. There is no label on strawberries, because that helps you get that sweet, and your body starts to understand that. And this still cut, because the more work your body has to do to get that digested, absorbed, and then your blood sugar, it doesn't spike quickly.
Just even kill.
And that's what's causing that. So, the bars, people have 2 of these, it's so much sugar. And the more sugar you eat, the more you crave, which is why sometimes you have these things and you're like, why am I still hungry like an hour later? Because your blood sugar went up, your insulin went up, and then you crashed.
Boom.
And one of the things we don't think about is we know when kids are toddlers, we're like, oh, they're on the sugar. Oh my, you're like, don't give them candy, because when we get home, they're going to be all wired.
Right.
That happens to us as adults.
Yeah.
That's
Same
why
thing.
you have the drive-through, donuts and stuff on the go. By 10 a.m. at work, you have a lull. Your sugar has crashed. And what do? You go to the vending machine.
So this is why.
It's like that.
Yeah, this is why. So you see things like Ritalin and a lot of medications for ADHD are so common out there in a lot of schools. The kids don't have a problem. Let's work on the diet, on what they're eating. They don't have mental health issues. It's just that what's going on, most of them, what's going on is the diet is poor, and it's impacting the way they feel, the way they act, and their mood. So if we can just tweak that, we may see a big change in that space as well.
And there's a whole bunch of movement towards functional medicine and encompassing nutritional stuff. Because when I would challenge everyone, give your body, just do it for 2 weeks. See about whole, fresh, natural things. Yeah. Look at the content for added sugar. Make those choices, because even your productivity, your ability to engage, we know that the vitamins, what's processed in your blood, things like kiwi, things like serotonin, your sleep is also impacted by what you eat and when you eat it.
Exactly. So gut health, we did a show on gut health. If you haven't seen that, just go, look at some of our reruns and some of our shows out there. We did one on gut health and what you put in your body, if it doesn't rot, you shouldn't be doing much of it, right? Yes. You want foods that rot quickly. If you have foods that can stay on the shelf for 1 year, for 6 months, for 2 years, It can't, how that can be good for you. Twinkies on the shelf for 2 years. How can that be good for you? We say that is not good. We call that can be good for you.
So the fruit looks like the same, 12 grams of added sugar for 1 cup. And very few kids do 1 cup. I mean, they just open it up and that. So think about how much sugar, and that's going. That's why diabetes is on the rise in children. There are more kids now that have diabetes than the generation before.
Almost 20%. Almost 20% of kids now are dealing with diabetic and obesity issues. Children, right?
And fatty liver.
Fatty liver disease.
Recently, fatty liver in children. So again, this season we're going to be weaving in the theme of generational health. Let's do better for our kids, for ourselves. So when you pick up the stuff, look at the number of calories per serving. So not just the one, but how much is in that package. Be conscious about what you're eating and not eating out of the bag because you finish the whole thing. And looking at substitution. So this kind of tuna has the same calories. 90 calories, this whole can, but it's packed with protein. 20 grams of protein. Want. So more protein,
more fiber.
You're full. It's healthy for you. Oatmeal. So we have good substitutions. Just think about what you're feeding yourself and your children before they walk out the house and how that impacts your heart and diabetes and blood pressure because these things are on the rise.
And we have 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes left. So, but what we just want to share before we go into the Make It Make Sense segment is that when you make the choice, if you're the one shopping in the home, remember you are the gatekeeper of the health of your family and generations to come. So you got to think of it that way. If you think of it that way, you may likely make better choices, not because the kids are crying because they want candy in there, but because you want better for them, right? So that's what you want to do. All right? Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
And so that's exactly what you want to do. And you want to make sure that the health of the family is exactly that you are in charge and you're doing all that for your family. Because that's what matters.
Let's do the Make It Make Sense.
So Make It Make Sense very quickly is, yay!
Thank you.
We've talked about this 2,000 calorie stuff. So that's what's on the 2,000 ADA. So all of these percentages are of that. So this 2,000, is it a hard fact? Do we always have to do 2,000 calories? What's that about?
And the answer is no. So you don't have to have 2,000. That's just a guide. That's the FDA guide, the Food and Drug Administration. Just a guide. It's just a guide. So you have to think about your body mass index, your height, your weight, your gender, or if you're dealing with any health issues as well, which you must talk to your primary care physician about. So that's just a guide. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, you may adjust those 2,000 calories, right? So it is just a guide. It's not a hard, fast fact. So you don't think you must eat 2,000 calories a day.
And yes,
what, honey?
Absolutely. Because what matters is also, in addition to that, how physically active you are.
Exactly.
The assumption is that you're physically active.
Physically active,
If you're not, so all those things impact what that is. So thank you for breaking that out.
Sure.
Guide. So we have a minute.
Tell them what we do, honey, before we wrap up.
So again, at tfal&chi, what we do is work with you and your family as family health to be able to improve your health through wellness coaching, through our coaching program, one-on-one. We do those pantry checks, which you can book on our website. We also obviously do things like this, educating the public and giving you the tools to make those choices as you go out and think about your family. So if you enjoy this, definitely bring your friends in on our next shows, bring your family. Follow us at tfal&chi on Instagram and Facebook. It has all of our information. We do post content there. But visit our website at tfal&chi.com. Book a discovery call. Join our wellness coaching program. Do a pantry check because we do organize those things and tell that with you.
We want to know how fab you are on the inside, not just on the outside. So thank you so much. Eat, EMTS, eat, move, think about your purpose, and get some sleep. EMTS. All right. We love you. Thank you. Come again and again and again. Share a message with your friends, your loved ones. Tag us, follow us. Thank you for being there.
Thank you so much. And be intentional as you go out to shop this weekend.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. See you again. 2 weeks. We'll be back.
Yes, we're back November 20th.
Yeah.